Друзья, привет! В связи с последними страшными событиями, которые происходят в Украине, здесь, в США, мы также не поддерживаем этот режим Путина, не поддерживаем войну. И, соответственно, сегодня мы нашли время и выбрались в центр города к Капитолию. Сегодня здесь проходит митинг за мир в Украине, против войны. Соответственно, идем поддержать ребят, поддержать, чем сможем. Вперед! Переход.
Хоча українська армія не є настільки потужна, як армія агресора, але наші мужні воїни показують те, що вони є на своїй землі. І вони роблять все можливе і неможливе для того, щоб перемогти агресора, для того, щоб дати відсіч йому, і для того, щоб мати перемогу.
And yes, maybe our country doesn't have the army as numerous or as powerful as the invading army, but we as Ukrainians and our soldiers there are showing that they're valiant, that they're fighting for their own land, and they're able to do and will do whatever is necessary to defend Ukraine.
І тільки разом ми зможемо подолати цю навалу, яка сьогодні посягнула на територіальну цілісність нашої країни, яка називається Україна.
And only together will we be able to repel these invading hordes that are encroaching upon our territorial integrity, the territorial integrity of Ukraine.
І надалі, незважаючи, що час іде, не будемо залишати в молитвах, не будемо стояти осторонь, а будемо підтримувати наших воїнів, наших громадян, наших братів та сестер, які сьогодні знаходяться там, в Україні.
And in spite of everything that's happening, let us not abandon our prayers, and let us not abandon our support for our country, our homeland, our brothers and sisters who are still there, and for the Ukrainian Defense Forces.
Дякую ще раз. Хай Бог вас благословить рясно. Будемо разом і до перемоги. Разом і до перемоги. Разом і до перемоги.
Thank you very much. May God bless you, and let us stick together. Together all the way to victory. Together all the way to victory. Together all the way to victory.
А давайте зараз скажемо на англійській мові. No war in Ukraine. 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 Thank you very much. Дякую всім за увагу. Я думаю, що разом ми поборемо нашого того ненависного людину-вбивця, який сьогодні прийшов для того, щоб не нашого, а той, який прийшов загарбати нашу землю. Віддамо подяку Богу за те, що він є разом з нами, і він допомагає нам в боротьбі за нашу незалежність.
Thank you very much once again. And yes, I believe that together we will repel that invader who is in our lands. Let's thank God. God is on our side. So let's thank God for his help for us.
I want to acknowledge our mayor, Darrell Steinberg, is here, and Assemblyman Cooley. I trust there may be others, but those are friends of mine who I know stand with you and support you. Several years ago, I was telling some of my Ronald Reagan stories. A friend of yours and mine, Florence Kukuman, said, "Can I tell you one of my Ronald Reagan stories?" I said, "Sure." He said, "You know where I was when he said, 'Mr. Gorbachev, take down that wall'?" No. I was a political prisoner in chains in a cell in Belgrade, Yugoslavia. And we heard those words. And we had a moment of hope. He says, "You know where I was 2 months later?" No. I was in the office of the United States ambassador in Belgrade, Yugoslavia. And the ambassador said, "Take off those chains." Such was the time. Such was the precious moment. And now we say, Mr. Putin, put down your oppression. Leave the Ukraine. Go back to Russia. They stand strong, and we stand strong behind them. Many of you have family members there who you're wondering about and hoping for. May the spirit of those who are there today standing strong imbue you with the hope. And I can assure you, the soul of the American people are with you. Amen.
Thank you so much, Senator.
I want to say what a great, somber honor it is to be here. I'm joined by Assemblymember Jim Cooper, who with me we represent large areas of Sacramento County. And Jim has an outstanding record in law enforcement, a history in law enforcement. So different than many members, he understands dealing with difficult, life-threatening circumstances. So we look to men like Jim Cooper to understand all that is going on in Ukraine, all the challenges to the well-being of people. I'm so grateful that we are all here today. As an American, I'm honored to be here to stand with the people of Ukraine. And I know we have many folks of Ukrainian heritage here, but there are many people here without Ukrainian heritage. And I'd like those to raise their hands. Folks who are not of Ukrainian heritage, raise your hand. Today we are all Ukrainians. We stand with them. As Americans, we often say our Pledge of Allegiance, filled with so many routine, simple, commonplace words. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Words rich with meaning. But there's one very uniquely American word, indivisible. It says that we are indivisible as Americans. And it is very important at this moment when people who love liberty, people whose national anthem, which we've heard sung today, which opens with the words, dignity and freedom of Ukraine has not yet perished. Hallelujah to that. Hallelujah. It is so important that as Americans, we be indivisible, standing with freedom-loving people of Ukraine against the violence of Vladimir Putin. You know, we learned a long time ago in our history that there can be no appeasement of evil, no prevarication. You have to confront it. And we know from World War II, a very famous admiral of ours, Bull Halsey, who once faced a battle where his fleet was outnumbered 2-1. It looked so grim, the Battle of Santa Cruz. And he committed his troops, and despite those odds, it was a great victory. And Bull Halsey said that all of life, personal, national combat, gets easier when you just face up to it and confront it. And I sort of put these thoughts together, this question, where will our national government, our allies go in no-fly zones, in supplying equipment? Britain in World War II set up the Lend-Lease under FDR, who incidentally appointed my dad, my grandfather, postmaster in Healdsburg, in Sonoma County in the 40s. We have always relied upon our partners helping us step up to evil. And now is that moment. It is a moment for us as a nation to back up our leaders, to be indivisible on behalf of a freedom-loving people. And I'm so grateful that you're all here today on behalf of the people of Ukraine, all Americans, unified in this moment. And in our house on Thursday, we took up a resolution on behalf of the people of Ukraine. I was the author of it, but it was unanimous. And Jim said he wasn't going to speak, but
I think Ken said it all. You have a tremendous amount of support from everybody in here. Unanimous vote on the floor of the assembly. I was born in France. I was born in Europe. My dad was in the military, so we stand with solidarity and just know we're behind you 100%. So I think Mr. Cooley said it all. I can't say it better than you. California stands with you, Ukraine, as one.
And I do want to say we have a lot of public officials here today on every level. Paula Velasquez is right over there. Wave, Paula. She's on the San Juan School Board. She's involved in educating kids to understand the cherished nature of our democracy. Because all of us failed, we cannot pass on the baton, pass on the torch of freedom. And that's the job of Jim Nielsen, my partner Kevin Kiley here in Sacramento, who's not here, but, oh, he is here. Kevin Kiley, come forward.
Slava Ukraini!
May you live in interesting times. These are times that are interesting. That is an old curse that grandfathers give their children and grandchildren when they ask the questions, why? Why is something so? Why is it not so? May you live in interesting times. It means that life will give us challenges. It will make character. And we've seen the character of the Ukraine with the president, with the military forces, in dealing with this invasion. But there is more. We learn many things from history. George Santayana says that those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. We have seen oppression before. We have seen injustice before. We have seen neighboring countries attack each other before, and we have made laws to deal with this. The Hague and Geneva Conventions. The United Nations was created so that we would have a rule of law, that nations would treat each other with dignity and respect sovereignty. We are now seeing that violated. Much of what we've seen, much of what's happening violates international law. Crimes of aggression, when you attack a neighbor, you do not respect territoriality. We are seeing now the crime of aggression. We are seeing war crimes. We are seeing crimes against humanity, targeting civilian institutions, residences, hospitals, churches. These are being destroyed each day. This is illegal. This will not stand. The ICC is currently investigating war crimes going on in the Ukraine. But there is even more. The Ukraine is protected by a treaty. The Budapest Memorandum signed in 1994, in which Ukraine gave up its nuclear weapons and its territoriality. Its sovereignty was guaranteed by the United States, by Great Britain, by Germany, and yes, by Russia. That has been violated, and that gives a legal right for the United States and our allies to intervene, to create a no-fly zone, and if necessary, to join in the fight to protect Ukraine. May Ukraine live forever. Слава Украине! No fly zone over Ukraine! No fly zone over Ukraine! No fly zone over Ukraine! No fly zone over Ukraine!
Today we have different people, and I want to invite you. You don't be surprised. Just wake up. It's time to wake up for Russia, and I believe they will wake up until millions didn't die yet. I would like to invite here Ksenia, talented journalist Kirillova. She's not in the program, but I have to give her word.
Thank you so much, a lot. And first of all, I want to ask my fellow Americans, because I'm not only a journalist, I'm also an American expert and analyst for some American think tanks like Jamestown Foundation, Center for European Policy Analysis. So I'm working against the Russian threat for years professionally. And sometimes many Americans think that yes, we sympathize with Ukraine, but it's not our war. So I want to disappoint you guys. As a professional who also worked against some security threats, who at least made some contribution in protecting your country, not only Ukraine, also in protecting of the United States, I can say that Putin considers his main enemy the United States. In his crazy mindset. He truly believes that he is fighting against the United States in Ukraine. So, Ukraine took a strike that was intended to the United States, and now Ukrainians every day die to protect not only Ukraine, but all free world, including the United States. Because Putin considers this country as his main enemies. And Ukrainians took the strike on themselves. So, if you want to protect a peaceful sky above your heads, you should help Ukraine. And because Ukraine is really the only hope of Europe on free world. And probably helping Ukraine now, it's the only chance to avoid a nuclear crisis. It's not my opinion, it's the opinion of Alex Windman, who worked in the American National Security Council. That's the first point. And the second point, I'm originally from Russia. And I'm Ukrainian by blood, but I was born in Russia, I lived there. I lost everything in my life because of this war 8 years ago, on 2014. I work against this war professionally, and I didn't show these things before. It's a distinction of Ukrainian Ministry of Defense, valor and honor. And I can say that now, as an American expert, as an analyst of leading American think tanks, it's not an honor for me. The greatest honor in my life was to receive this distinction from the best army in the world, from the Ukrainian army. What they do to protect not only the country, to protect the world, it's amazing. And we should to help Ukrainian army as much as we can, everyone, because it's the only last protection for the current world order. And thank you so much to the Californian National Guard and Peter, it's our old friends. Thank you everyone. И в довершении по-русски, потому что я знаю, что здесь есть много ребят из России, которые все в жизни потеряли, борясь с путинским режимом. Вы знаете, у меня уникальная ситуация. Мой муж украинец, и он из Харькова. И у нас там была свадьба. И я потомок жертв Голодомора, я украинка по крови, моя бабушка Холодомор Шиваева. Но я жила в России. И таким образом мне удалось как-то вот в себе совместить эту трагедию во всех ее аспектах. Я знаю, что творилось с российскими диссидентами, кто выступал против войны еще в 2014 году. Именно потому, что я из России, мне пришлось все потерять, и я 8 лет не была дома, я не могу вернуться. Как украинка, у меня семья в Харькове. Собственно, родители мужа чудом выжили, что вот лечили рак, его болезни, из-за этого оказались не в Харькове. Так они там жили, дом разбомбили. Это в центре Харькова. То есть мы переживали эту войну как украинцы. И работая в американских аналитических центрах, готовя аналитику для американцев, я знаю, что такое защищать ту страну, в которой я живу, защищать Америку. И я вижу, что эта война разделила всех не по национальности, а по тому, насколько люди выстрадали, что-то реально сделали и пожертвовали чем-то. И я поэтому прошу, важный момент, не страдавшие не имеют права упрекать страдавших. Я благодарна тем россиянам, которые действительно пожертвовали всем ради того, чтобы помочь Украине, ради того, чтобы нам помочь. Они сделали все, что могли. Спасибо вам большое. No flying zone over Ukraine.